Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In episode 24, I shared some of my thoughts on how to collect toy soldiers. I was a bit surprised by the positive reaction to this video, and today's episode could be considered a similar theme. I think in any hobby when you dive in, you can be overwhelmed or underwhelmed by the assorted bric-a-brac available. If you're someone who buys figures, these items are rather simple, for the most part low cost, and easy to source out. In my experience, they are nice to have, they are not must-haves, and you can pick and choose what works for you in getting more enjoyment from your collection. So without further ado, let's get into my bric-a-brac. The following are in no particular order, and for the most part you shouldn't be spending a lot of money for this stuff, which can be found online, at a retail store, a hobby outlet, or in your cupboards at home. I do believe that a good book or online sources on what you are collecting are a must, be it CBG, Mignot, Britain's, King & Country, or other makers. A good book will help you to see what is out there, what sets are or were available, and perhaps offer info to help you make informed decisions about purchasing or collecting. This can include a subscription to the Toy Soldier magazines, a hardcover book, or an online forum. Other information could be found at your local hobby shop, library, website, or dare I say, YouTube video. I would suggest some of these magazines, and if you collect Britain's figures, several books by James Opie or Joe Wallace, as well as these other titles on collecting. I like this little book which Opie produced, and I use it to log what I have and what I may be looking for, set numbers and composition for my Britain's figures. So you might get some idea of what trajectory you might want to follow. As I said, I also bookmark Toy Soldier websites, be they a retailer, a maker, or just a good info source. You get to a certain age and your eyesight starts to go on you. And I don't think I'm any different from anybody else, so I find that a good set of magnifiers really helps. Now these ones are relatively cheap. And this one has alligator clips which I taped to protect the figures when it's holding them. And this is a bit more expensive and has a light included. Now these can also aid you if you're building or painting figures. Plastic straws. Yes, I know they are ostensibly single-use and bad for the environment. But wait a second. If you cut them into smaller sections, well, voila. You now have a way to protect that rifle and bayonet, the lance, perhaps the horse leg, or other more fragile pieces. Some makers already put these on when packaging, but I have found their use is inconsistent. And here's a big hint to the makers that don't do this. And there is nothing more frustrating than when you get a figure home and discover the bayonet bent or broken, or worse, when you do it yourself to the figure. Now, if you do build or paint, or are concerned about handling your figures, these gloves could do the trick. I bought these latex gloves at an art supply store. Probably paid too much for them. But these fingertips I bought at Daiso, a Japanese variety store. But you could also use cotton gloves. It's up to you. Now here's something we don't often think of and usually ends up in the trash. Silica packs. You can buy these in bulk, but I collected mine from packaging that comes into our house, like electronics. If you live somewhere that moisture or humidity is an issue, then use these in your storage containers or tuck them out of sight in your display cases, wherever you keep your figures. I think of them as an ounce of prevention. If you have loose figures or have lost the original packaging, bubble wrap or non-acidic paper are another way to protect them. I keep a box of this stuff in my basement, and it's usually recycled from other items that have entered our house. Just don't wrap it too tightly around the figures, or you may end up bending or breaking something else. Now, along the lines of bubble paper, I'm against using styrofoam of any kind. That's a personal decision, but I find it's generally too stiff for figures, and the same goes for the styrofoam peanuts or the tiny little pellets. The peanuts have no give and are just as likely to bend or break figures, and the tiny pellets, they seem to have a static charge, which makes it difficult to remove, and the stuff just ends up all over the house, and that doesn't make me very popular, so I say no to styrofoam. And I suppose this is just another reason why you should be keeping the packaging your figures or vehicles or whatever else were shipped in. In my opinion, storage containers are a must. They'll help you organize your collection so it's not all over the house in random closets, cupboards, or under the furniture, and keeps those empty boxes or figures safe until they're ready to be displayed. I have ones which are plastic, so take a look at these. They're relatively light, and they have no air holes to allow unwelcome small insects or others to make a home inside. Now, I know I said that the items in this video are relatively cheap or inexpensive and easy to find, and I suppose this is where I break the rule. Display space. Now, this can be expensive. I've shown my display cases, and here they are again, and I was lucky to find them. If I need another one, I'll certainly be checking out any number of outlets to find secondhand pieces. In episode 24, a viewer commented about the risks associated with oak wood, and he's right. There is enough anecdotal information about the harm caused by oak on older, say, pre-1970 figures. I don't want to get too deeply into this other than to say you can find shelving or display cases or curio cabinets not made of oak, and these could be considered as low-risk alternatives. But you want something which can hold the weight of your figures and yet display them in the best possible light. So on the subject of displaying, when I do so, I've used from time to time felt cloth because it can be easily cut and shaped. But I've also used square tiles made of cork and artificial grass or artificial turf, whatever expression. These can provide a cushion effect for figures if they fall over and can simulate natural earth or grass. Stuff like these can be found where you buy flooring or art supply, variety stores like Dollarama or the Dollar Store, or similar chains in North America. That's where I got these. So as I said, this is not an exhaustive list. It's my best practices. It's what I've sort of learned or discovered as I've gone through this hobby. And I'm positive you have more and better suggestions, so don't be shy. Share them in the comments section. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. And if you liked the video, hit the like and subscribe buttons to help this channel grow. Until next time, keep collecting.